when Kanye was saying, "Come back to me, Kim." Like, Drake, you can't cry when he's trying to get his wife back on camera and then diss him a year later.
He was thinking about the women in his life that he wished he could get back.
He got a diamond necklace with 42 engagement stones saying, "This is for all the women that I wanted to marry." Like, that's the type of guy he is. Before he went on stage in North Carolina, he posted a new snippet of a song that might come out. I don't know. And the sample in the beginning is Kim K talking about her divorce from Kanye West, a clip he took from her show.
Yeah, let's listen to that.
I didn't come this far just to come this far and not be happy.
Okay.
Remember that.
You didn't come this far just to come this
Night
far.
owl sound.
Damn.
Okay.
She was talking about her divorce from Ye in that clip. And, you know, we've talked about Drake and Ye going back and forth over the last few years.
Yeah.
They had the Free Larry Hoover event after Jay Prince made them kiss and make up. But Drake, you know, he even expressed in his album Her Loss with 21 Savage that, you know, he didn't want to do that. And it looked like from his performance when they were together, outside of him, you know, crying when Kanye was saying, "Come back to me, Kim." Like, Drake, you can't cry when he's trying to get his wife back on camera and then diss him a year later.
He was thinking about the women in his life that he wished he could get back. Like that's all it was. It wasn't nothing crazy. Love is beautiful, all right? Love is beautiful. Heartbreak is beautiful too, in its own unique way. Like, it's just, you know.
Yeah, Drake says love is beautiful because he got a diamond necklace with 42 engagement stones saying, "This is for all the women that I wanted to marry." Like, that's the type of guy he is. But what do you think about this? Do you think it's back on with the
That's
beef?
swag.
Do you think Ye actually, you know, he's married again, not legally, but, you know, he's married. He's been pretty quiet.
He identifies as married.
He's been watching 21 Jump Street, you know. But you think he'll respond to this? Because he's been really outspoken in the past, especially when it comes to Drake. You know, he was upset at you know, Kiki, "Do you love me?" You know, he went on Instagram. He had the train in the background when he was just like, "Drake, like, stop playing games."
Yeah.
That was like 2018 and shit.
Long
But now
time
it's
ago.
5 years later. Do you think he responds to this? Do you think we hear from him?
I mean, I don't think this is something worth responding to. Like, it's a little snippet that dropped. Like, okay, these things happen every once in a while, where Drake will like sneak something out. It doesn't really mean that much. We're never going to hear it again, like that sort of thing. So I don't think it's a big deal. The song sounded good. Like, it sounded like another diss track that would have turned into a back-to-back where, like, it's a radio hit. People are playing it. Like, it sounded like...
It was a snippet,
I don't
bro.
care. I don't care.
Relax.
It was smooth. It was smooth. It was very smooth.
Bro, stop.
Listen.
It's a snippet. There's nothing you can get from that outside of, it's Kim K's voice.
Listen, it sounded like some Avion tequila or something like that. I don't know. It was very smooth to me. Suavemente. So... we'll see. We'll see what Kanye says. I'm sure Kanye's in the lab right now because anytime he's this quiet, he's working on something.
I disagree, man. I think whenever he's working on something, that's when he's the loudest. Like when he's about to release something. Remember?
No, when he's about to release, yes.
And
but when he's working, he's usually pretty quiet.
He's working all the way up into the release, sometimes like after the fact. He's a perfectionist. He never stops.
So what do you think he's doing if he's quiet?
Spending time with his new wife and focusing on his family.
He don't care about that woman.
How do you know? You have no idea.
I don't know anything, but that's my opinion.
Your opinion based on what? Nothing.
On the fact that he's bounced around with 6 different women immediately after his divorce was finalized, and now suddenly he settles on one that is another doppelganger to his previous wife.
Listen, I mean, sometimes you gotta, go sampling before you find what you want to eat.
The same thing he's been eating for the last. Anyway,
we don't know.
Anyway,
we don't know. Regardless, shout out to Drake. I really like the set list at Dreamville. It reminded
Yes.
me of the show at the Apollo. You know, made me happy that I bought tickets for Barclays Center this summer.
Yeah, shout out to Cole, man. He's throwing a great festival. I'm glad he's doing this, representing for North Carolina, his hometown and all that. Cole is, you know, I think when people look back on this like 2010s sort of rap group, it really is going to be a serious conversation between like 1 and 2. Like I think that I'm serious.
What do you mean?
I think it's really going to be a serious conversation on overall impact when it comes to the genre of hip hop.
What are you saying though? 1 and 2 what?
Like 1 and 2 in terms of how you view influence,
Well, who are you
impact,
talking
music,
about?
rap. I'm talking about Drake and Cole. Kendrick is, if we're talking about lyricist, I think Kendrick is higher. But that's not just what hip hop is. It's not just lyricism.
Kendrick is definitely number 1 in my opinion.
That's your opinion. You're a
Yeah.
Kendrick stan.
It's definitely not J. Cole over Kendrick. That's crazy. J.
All right.
Cole, J.
Maybe
Cole
not
has
to
like
you, but
J. Cole
I'm
has
saying.
like two pretty decent albums. Kendrick has like 5 great albums.
All right, but we're not just talking about the albums. And also, who goes back to those Kendrick albums other than Kendrick fans?
A lot of people do. You go anywhere, you'll hear "All Right." Like what?
All
1 and
right,
2
that's
1 and
one
2.
song out of 5 albums.
Listen, it doesn't matter. He has great albums. J. Cole doesn't have great albums. Neither does Drake. So to me, like especially
Well,
impact
Drake has
in it-
way more hits than both of them combined.
Yeah, but
so.
you talk about hits. Well, those
I'm
hits
talking
are
about overall
they-
influence. When you
here-
think about,
Yeah, and J. Cole don't have that much influence.
I disagree with that.
Kendrick has way more influence when it comes to the rap style, his flows.
I disagree with that.
Okay, I don't know what J. Cole has done originally musically. Honestly, his sound is not anything really new. Like he's changed up his flows in the past, but he didn't really bring that much new to the game. He borrowed from a lot of people, and
Well, of course, I think they all borrow from a lot of people.
But I feel like Kendrick really has his own style way completely. Troy, what do you think? Like when it comes to this, like who do you got your 1 and 2 if you had to choose?
My 1 and 2. 1 is Kendrick. 2 is Cole.
Oh, you don't even have Drake, so we all got different.
Okay, we all got different.
We all
views
can
on it.
agree that's the top 3.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's definitely the top 3, at least for the 2010s.
Exactly.
You know, those.
I don't know how you
those
put
rappers.
Cole over Kendrick, bro. That's
I'm talking about overall impact on the culture.
On what,
On the culture.
bro? That's just that you can't even measure that. That's like it's not.
I mean, that's like any rap conversation. You can't actually
You
quantitatively
can measure like
measure
who has
it.
more good
The-
albums. You
The
can
only
measure,
thing you can measure is album sales.
No, you can't. You could say someone has X amount of really great albums, and Kendrick, where's his bad album?
That's an
I can tell you Cole's
opinion.
bad album.
We're talking about
yeah.
quantitative. That's
No,
different.
we're not talking about quantity. I'm talking about having.
If you're
the
saying
whole
the
thing is
word
opinion.
measure, that's quantitative.
Listen, measure. You can measure. You can count how many albums are good. Rotten Tomatoes has a fucking algorithm, has a calculation of
Yes.
of reviews.
Absolutely.
That is a measurement.
So there's a
you can't-
number tied to that.
Yeah, just like there's a number.
That's what I'm
of-
saying.
No, you're not. Just like there's a number of how many albums you consider good and bad. But okay. It's okay. Like I love
Listen.
Cole. I don't want to shit on Cole, but like, come on, Cole has like one really good album, Forest Hills Drive, which I still love. All his other stuff is really mid, in my opinion.
I'm not going to say it's mid. I think the last couple have been definitely mid.
Kendrick never dropped a mid project at all. Even unmastered.
Untitled was mid.
Untitled, unmastered is better than most of J. Cole's projects.
Stop it. I disagree.
And that was the leftover stuff. Speaking of leftover stuff, Tyler, the creator, he blessed us with a deluxe version of Call Me If You Get Lost.
He did.
I like the first single he dropped on this, but I went through the other songs and I'm like, I can see why this shit was left off.
I still didn't even get to it. I didn't get to the deluxe. There was too much going on this weekend with all the Dreamville and just relaxing and chilling and stuff like that.
Man,
going
you never gonna get to it. Let's be real.
That's not true. I really like the last couple Tyler projects.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I started listening to Tyler really with Igor.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
That was the first one for me.
That's
all
why
this stuff before that, I was like,
that's why I can't listen to you on your opinions.
why?
Because you start listening to Tyler Igor, at least
He
Flower
wasn't.
Boy.
I wasn't really feeling his music like that.
Troy, did you hear the deluxe?
Yeah, I did.
What did you think about it? Did you like it?
Overall, I liked it. Some of the songs I do agree with you. Some of it I was like, yeah, I don't really. This song doesn't do a lot for me. But overall, I mean, it was still solid.
Yeah, it was 2 years after the album was released. I'm glad he's staying active. I don't know what to take from it though. I'm like, is he not like creating new shit? Is that why he's trying to like breathe life into like his career at this point? Because he's been into other things since he dropped "Call Me If You Get Lost," and he was on like a real run from Flower Boy to Igor to "Call Me If You Get Lost." And I feel like he hit all those objectives. So, Troy, do you think like he may be at like a little bit of a standstill, or?
I'm honestly not sure because historically he's dropped the project like every 2 years for the past like 10 years, and that second year is coming up. So I'm wondering if this is like to build up more hype for a new album coming out, or maybe he's just like, hey, this will hold you over till maybe he needs more time. I'm not sure.
Who you got? Whose discography do you prefer, Tyler's or J. Cole's?
Honestly, I think it's Tyler's. Just his growth.
Yeah.
Like album over album has been honestly one of the best. Is like up there with Kendrick in my opinion. Not as good, but close. But yes, I probably have to give it to Tyler, even though I overall prefer J. Cole.
I would definitely agree with the aspect of his growth. I think that his early stuff. The reason I didn't listen to it was because it just didn't appeal to me. But there was a clear shift. I would say like halfway through his projects. What's he had like 6 albums, something like that. Maybe
I'm
more.
not sure. But yeah, no, he had Goblin, Wolf, Cherry Bomb. Dan was it Flower Boy, Igor, Call Me. Yeah, I think it's
like I
6.
I remember when I first heard that Yonkers song, I was like, oh, this guy is next. And then I listened to his music and I was like, okay, this does not match Yonkers. And then at a certain point, it like shifted where his style is completely different, but it's also very creative, eclectic. And then the bars have like caught up to his musical flair.
Yeah. All right. Did you ever listen to Flower Boy?
I listened to some of the songs, but not like
that. To me, that's his best album. To me, that's where he really peaked. Igor is good, but I don't really go back to it as much. But Flower Boy was like his first like real introspective album, and I feel like it was so introspective that he kind of, I don't know, I don't want to speak for him, but I feel like he had to go the entire other way and be like, I'm going to be a totally different character for the next album for Igor. So, and then Call Me If You Get Lost was kind of like him being like, oh, I can be a rapper and braggadocious too and talk about everything I've done in the past few years.
I really like Call Me If You Get Lost.
So that's why I'm a little bit worried. Like, I'm like, shit, like he's done all these specific ass albums. 2 years later, as Troy said, he's kind of just giving us leftovers. We'll see. He might be cooking up something totally different. He's always expressed that he really wants to get into like doing movie scores and things like that. So, these artists, they're doing their own festivals. I think that is what's dope. Jenna had mentioned, she was like, oh, I feel like this is the best generation of rappers. And I'm like, oh, and that's not true.
Yeah.
You can't beat the 90s where you had Jay-Z, Nas, Tupac, Outkast, Eminem, everybody, Wu-Tang Clan. Like the 90s is like, Snoop Dogg, like they laid the foundation.
The lineup is too crazy. Like not even that. Method Man, Andre, 50 was 50 was early 2000s, but Dre was there. Like no, let's not.
But I think it they've done a lot, and they're the ones who made hip hop mainstream.
Yeah.
And now it's here.
Now it's dying.
It's not dying.
Well,
but
it's not dying.
I'm over it personally, but
I feel like it just goes through waves. Like we had that nasty wave in like the like 05 to 2010 sort of era where it was like really shitty music.
I don't think so. I think that was just the
Wayne
ringtone stuff.
I feel like Wayne was like the only one that was really like rapping. Out of like a newer in terms of newer rappers at that time.
There was
period.
a shift, when Soulja Boy came out, it was a shift to the internet and ringtone stuff, and the South was starting to take over. But
I feel like the South was already dominant by that point though. They kind of took over like the early 2000s, except for especially with like Ludacris and Neo and like some of those guys. and then we had 50.
No, it was later. It was like later.
Was it?
Yeah.
I feel like
it was later because like 50 Cent came out early 2000s. Like he had a stranglehold on it. It wasn't
Luda like 2003?
No, Luda was good, but no one was like, oh, Atlanta's running hip hop. There wasn't a conversation up until like the 2010s. Man, you weren't even listening to rap that. Like,
dude, I was listening to Ludacris. That was my favorite rapper for like 10 years.
Exactly. Like,
Luda was great. Don't diss Luda.
I love
don't
Ludacris.
sleep.
He's actually going on tour with Janet Jackson.
You saw him beat the shit out of
Nelly.
Yeah, out of Nelly in that verses.
Subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe on Spotify. Follow on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Like
all the apps. We're everywhere. We are everywhere.